LateNightParents.com. In the queue, Bucko Bruce. What's new?
Not much. As we like to say around here, same shit, different toilet. What's going on, Teddy?
Bucko, it's been a minute. I think the last time we were talking, I think we were just talking NFL a few weeks ago. Maybe about 10 days ago. It's been a while since I've been on Haps. So big shout out to our friends at Haps. Shout out to our friends at WGBB, YouTube, and the Underground. Big shout out to 9-0. Birmingham, the UK. In the UK. Shout out to Tiz Shear.
International Teddy. Okay.
Oh, come on now. Come on, somebody. So we come through as always, checking in. I think we got baseballs right around the corner. I don't know if you're sick to your stomach of the NBA, but we got baseball around the corner.
Dude, the Marcus Aldridge going to the Nets just cemented the fact that I'm not watching NBA anymore. I'm done. That is a terrible, watered down, hapless product. The NBA, the NCAA tournament has been masterful. It's been wonderful. My nose lost today. All that aside, this tournament has been great. The NBA has been awful. Let's talk MLB. Let's talk that.
Before we talk MLB, I've never seen so much hate out there for the Nets. I mean, I get it. You can't buy every player. I've seen so many Thanos gauntlets. I've just seen just utter disdain for the Brooklyn Nets.
It's not even the Nets. It's not the Nets. It's the landscape of the product to where it's become acceptable to no longer compete and try to beat somebody down. It's okay, let me go join the next group. Like, there's no parity, Ted. Yeah, I know the Brooklyn Nets a couple years ago were trash, but still, you can take Team A. You can go ahead and take the Memphis Grizzlies. If you accumulate all the talent in the NBA that's not on the Lakers and you put them on the Grizzlies, guess what? That's the best other team. It's laughable. It's inexcusable. It's weak in the nuts. It's I don't like it, man. I think it's a bad product. I think it undermines the whole idea of competition and parity. It undermines the whole platform of that ideology, and I don't like it.
I'm not going to disagree with you, Bucko. I'm just going to say, if you read the last CBA, you'll see how we got to this point. Right. When I can throw a fit and say, hey, even though I've taken hundreds of millions of dollars from you, Bucko Bruce Incorporated, that owns Team XYZ, and when I can say, you know what, I no longer want to play for you guys, and I go out there and I act like a fool, and you turn around and you say, okay, you know what, I don't want you to play for our organization anymore. We're going to sit you down, and we're going to wait for a trade. And then you get to a point where you get bought out. That's where the NFL owners are laughing at the rest of the other sports leagues out there.
Right. We've had that conversation together. Matter of fact, you and I had that conversation probably 8 years ago.
Yes.
Shout out to Barbershop Sports. But I explained where the union of the NFL is lacking in comparison to the MLB and the NBA player unions. The construct of a whole for the sport is better because of the non-guaranteed contracts, because of the forced parity with a salary cap and what have you. The NFL says we're going to put our overall product as a whole over the stranglehold that the superstars of our league can put on it, right? the James Harden putting on a fat suit and doing what he did to Houston, that shit would never happen in the league. Deshaun
No.
Watson tried to do it. Now, granted, what has come about of late is
Yeah.
is ironically the embodiment of a fat suit. But either way, they still ain't trading him. You hear what I'm saying? The
He's
leverage.
persona non grata.
If you're a corporation, if you're a business, if you're a company, the leverage of your said business or organization should never be hindered upon one or two individual guys. So I'm a fan, I'm a proponent of the way the NFL is structured contractually versus the other two because you cannot have one player hold your team hostage. So, yeah, there's that.
Hey, Bucko, are you on your mobile phone? Or are you
Yeah.
on the because I want to make sure I put you in the right. Hang on one sec.
Am I not beautiful enough for the people?
Oh, of course you are. Oh, there you go. There you go.
I'm right. I mean, hey, I haven't moved.
Okay. No, I
Stationary.
had you in the wrong setup. I'm sorry. So I was looking at it. So opening day is almost here and the dawn of new season begins. And the process of answering all the questions that we've had about some of our teams and players this spring. So here are some questions that are heading into the season. What are the burning questions that need answers? Here are a few ones, and there definitely will be more, but the game brings more questions to be answered. First one that we discussed in pre-pro is, can the Dodgers repeat and can they set a wins record? Knowing that, yes, it's not 1988, and knowing that I think the Seattle Mariners at 116 was the record. What are your thoughts to either of those questions about the Dodgers repeating or getting the or setting the wins record?
I think I can easily and emphatically say it's no to both. It took what 32 years and a shortened season for us to even see them win a World Series, which they should have lost to the Braves, by the way. We'll let that slide. However, the team in their division, the San Diego Padres, I think, has gotten exponentially better than what the Dodgers did this year. I don't think adding a Trevor Bauer, I don't think the moves they've made have done enough to separate them from the Padres and really from the rest of their division. I do think they're a good team. Obviously, you have to think that. They are a contending team. However, the competition within their own division has gotten greater, therefore, will knock them down closer to the pack. And if you're telling me I have my pick between 30 or 1 or 29 or 1, I'm always going to take the field. To repeat as champion is an improbability of its own. Winning it just the one time is a great feat, but back to back in that shit, no, not in the MLB. So no, give me the field and give me somebody else for the wins title as well.
What's your feeling about the Dodgers weren't their fans weren't able to relish in the victory of the World Series? Any hard feelings about that? Any
No, no, absolutely not. They got the relish in it. They got to celebrate it. The same with the Bucks. We had our guys on boats with people watching them on boats. We still got the relish in it. The city still did what the city does, just like LA. Hell, Justin Turner had COVID, left out of the fucking clubhouse and went and celebrated on the field. That team and its people still celebrated and enjoyed it, as it should. Now, granted, did we have a parade with flipping cars and burning cars? No, we didn't have that. And I'm sure the city of Los Angeles is actually happy about that. But no, they got to celebrate it. They enjoyed it enough, and it will be short lived as they will not repeat as champions.
So, and I guess the second question is going to make a lot of sense for some people, to some of our listeners. Can the Padres remain the most exciting team in baseball? You know, the Padres had the third best record in the MLB last year. There's no question that they led the majors in googly-eyed emojis also, and it was fun to cheer for them. You know, so they signed the new face of baseball. Sorry, Mike Trout, but Fernando Tatis. They got Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, and Joe Musgrove to make their rotation as strong as their lineup. Can they build on to 220? I mean, to 2020, and can they take out the Dodgers?
Absolutely. With the way they built the back end of their bullpen, with the way they built their lineup, with the way they built the rotation, and then let's not forget to mention they have the number one pitching prospect in Mackenzie Gore that are likely be coming up here in a month or so. What the Padres are doing and have done over the past couple of years has really been phenomenal. Yeah, Tatis, no taking away from Trout. Trout's probably in my lifetime the best overall baseball player I've ever watched play the game. The guy is incredible, but he's about as interesting as a cup of milk. Okay, he's boring. He's by the book. You know, the old unwritten rule baseball guy. Trout is that guy. Tatis has the swag, the middle finger to establishment type of persona that you get behind. So by saying Tatis is a new face of baseball, it's not really necessarily a diss to Trout. But if we purists like you and I, who love this game and want this game to be appreciated as it should be, we need a Tatis, a Machado, a Ronald Acuna, these young guys with this, what did my boy Razor Ramon say, oozing with machismo, just the persona, the swag that the young people need to see. It needs to grow the game to the next generation with what these guys are bringing. So I welcome it. I ask for more of it, and let's fucking go. Yes, the Padres will be better than what they were. And I honestly think, constructed as we sit today, they probably have a better roster top to bottom than the Dodgers right now.
Big up to Tony D. Tony D, thank you for joining and participating in the show. Big Bucko wants to give you a shout out too. The aforementioned Mike Trout, is he ever going to get a playoff victory? Come August, Mike Trout turns 30 years old. So does that officially put him in his prime? Because didn't he sign a contract like 2, maybe 3 years ago for like 13 years or 15 years or something crazy like that?
It was 13 for 400 or something like that. So yeah,
13 for 400.
It'll carry him till I think he's 40. Is the life of the contract? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the basis of it. But look, Mike Trout, again, I emphasize this wholeheartedly. One of the best baseball players to ever play. And we have gotten to watch the entirety of his career.
Yes.
So, but again, the guy is boring. He gives you no fodder. He gives you no bulletin board material. He just goes out there and be great. Now, for
best player in the world?
Yeah. Oh, best player in the world ever. I mean, look, I'm telling you right now, I idolize the Barry Bondses, the Ken Griffey's, the Chipper Joneses. I idolize those guys. But all of them were boring. Even Barry Bonds was boring as shit. Ken Griffey Jr., boring as shit. They wouldn't give you nothing. They would never celebrate. They would never talk any shit. Nothing. Guys like Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Juan Soto with his little ditty that he does when he watches a ball go by. You know what I'm talking about? That stuff is great, Ted. It is great. It's what the game needs. you see by watching the NFL, by watching the NBA, the one thing that gets by more so than your gameplay is your ability to transcend it, talking trash and boasting, so to speak. That grabs more fodder, more attention. Hold on, Tony D. What I say by boring, I'm not talking about his play. I'm talking about, his dad was a player, his granddad was a player. He followed the T to the extent of saying what Trout is doing. Follow the unwritten rules, not say nothing, not showboat, not celebrate, nothing. Ken Griffey Jr. did the same thing. Let's say Ken Griffey Jr. wore 4 gold chains and stared down a pitcher and tossed his bat. I guarantee you his celebrity would have grown further. His shoe would have sold more. That's all I'm saying. I'll leave it there at that.
So you want to see more machismo
I want
in the
more.
league?
Dude, the MLB has done such a terrible job of marketing their star players, like Mike Trout, like Ken Griffey, like Barry Bonds. Matter of fact, tell me the last baseball player besides Ken Griffey Jr. that had a major shoe deal. Can you go out and buy a pair of Mike Trout Jordans right now? Can you go get some Freddie Freeman Adidases right now?
I don't think so.
No, you cannot.
I don't think so.
the MLB has done a terrible job at marketing their product. Ken Griffey Jr. with the swing man, Michael Jordan tried to do something that's not done in that league and bring Ken Griffey along and get him a shoe deal. It lasted for one sneaker. It didn't go any further. Mike Trout has been playing this game for 10 years. He's been, in 10 years, the best player I've ever seen. I want to go buy a Mike Trout Nike right now. I can't do it. So, being that this league has done what it's done to its players, to its product, it's on these players to go that extra level and do the extra activity, so to speak, to market themselves to this next generation. We've talked about this time and time again. This sport that we love has done nothing to bring forth the next generation of players. The only people that's bringing forward are Hispanic players. None of our American athletes are playing baseball. None of them, especially in the urban community. And it's sad.
My next question is on, and I in pre-pro we had a little bit of passion from you, so I'm gonna attempt to see if we can get that passion bucket going again. Can Tony La Russa and the young White Sox stay on the same page? It's been 10 years since Tony La Russa has been in the MLB as a manager. I mean, don't you see an immediate disconnect with him? Not talking about the situation that happened outside, the DUI. Not talking about that. That has nothing to do with it.
Nobody cares about you driving drunk. I mean,
right.
Let's be honest.
Unfortunately, no one cares.
I know cancel culture is going to destroy me on that. But if you know this game of baseball, if you can coach, if you ever slip up and have a couple more drinks at a bar, whatever, I'm not going to destroy you for that. This culture that exists now, you say something the wrong way, you're done. But Tony La Russa, as we know, as you know, is a great coach. Is a great understander of baseball.
Wherever he's gone.
And if you look at the White Sox in particular, the amount of young talent they have, from Luis Robert to Giolito to my third-round pick that's done for the season, Eloy Jimenez. I'm very pissed about that, by the way. I took that guy in the third round of my baseball draft just for him to ruin his season the next day. Either way, that's for me, not you. But the White Sox have a nucleus of very young, very good talent. That wasn't who was their skipper over there? It wasn't Dave Roberts. Who was their skipper last year?
I would have to look it up. No, but
You
it
know
definitely
what?
wasn't Dave Rogers.
I should have looked it up. That's my bad.
No, it's okay.
What I'm going to say is this. Yes, Tony La Russa is an old school throwback, boring guy, but his knowledge of the game and what he brings as far as playoff experience, championship experience to this young nucleus of very, very, very good talent. Dude, that White Sox team is deep with talent from top to bottom, from Ian Anderson to, like I said, Giolito to Luis Robert to a lot of guys on the team are very, very good. They got my guy Grass Smile at catcher. They have a lot of guys that are very good. A guy like Tony La Russa for that particular ball club can bring them together and make them play cohesively. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't like this recycled old white guy coach thing. I don't like that. We need to bring the next generation of leaders of these baseball players. But
so
this season is good.
So tell me, would you? I mean, and I'm taking into consideration the last comment you made. Would you feel a little bit more comfortable if Buck Showalter was the leader of these men?
He's in the same boat. Buck Showalter's in the same boat.
Yeah, but Buck Showalter's only been out of the game 2-3 years.
Doesn't matter. He's what, 70?
Yeah, give or take.
That's the point I'm trying to make. It doesn't matter how long you're away from the game. The game is still the game.
So we're just talking about the generation gap.
I'm talking about the generational gap. Like I'm talking about even with my team, even though I love Brian Snitker. You know, the team is so much looking for the next Bobby Cox in Atlanta that they bring up the guy that led the minor league Braves team for 30 years, Brian Snitker. Even though I love Snit, I think Snit's doing a great job. Snit's still a 68-year-old man that's really not connected with the future of the game. We need to stop trying to bring in these old purists of the game because the game is going a different direction. Because guys like La Russa, guys like Snitker, guys like Buck Showalter, guys of this ilk will not allow the next step, the next phase of the game to complete itself. Like, for instance, when Tatis did the bat flip and caught all this shit, and they made him apologize. I hated that, and I was so angry that this old branch of the old way of doing things made this young man apologize for something he knew he wasn't wrong for doing. Damn your unwritten rules of baseball. Damn your unwritten way of doing things. Your unwritten way of doing things is causing your sport to become archaic. You're losing fans by the droves. Your median fan base is 55 and up. Do something different. Be better. Do better. That's where I'm at.
So, as I've said before, you want the machismo.
Yeah.
So you want the, I guess, you know, MLB has some nameless, faceless players, but I mean, everyone knows Aaron Judge. Everyone knows.
He's not even good.
Well, but I'm saying in New York, okay, the local teams know their favorite 1 or 2 or 3 homegrown players.
Right.
And I mean, if you're not moving the needle there, then yes, you have problems. Yes, baseball does also have problems with ageism, because the median age for an MLB fan, that's something else.
It's AARP people.
Yes. Yes. Totally. I embrace that. I guess the next question is more for me than for you, but I'll let you, since you are the baseball connoisseur. Can Francisco Lindor be the savior of Queens? Now, hold on. The Mets trade of Lindor and Carrasco wasn't about just improving the team. It was about the image. So you got the team, you got the image, you got the new owner, with the big wallet that the rest of you guys don't like. You don't have to commit to it, but the fact of the matter, it was announcing a new era in Flushing. Yes, the Mets do play in the same division as your beloved Braves.
Okay.
But the big question is Lindor the perfect avatar for what the Mets want to be now?
Nope.
We know they're going to have to win, and we know that, I think it was commented on tonight, there was some dialogue about, for instance, Lindor and sitting down looking at a $300 million contract. So, question to you. Take your Braves homerism, put it to the side. Is Lindor the savior of Queens?
Let's be honest. Francisco Lindor, the player, defensively, offensively, charismatically, the guy's a beast. Well, for 3 years now, he's been a can't miss guy, and for a hapless city like Cleveland, led them to the pinnacle of where they want to be, right? So naturally, you bums down there in Flushing, you think that this is the next step. However, I like Carrasco, I like Lindor. I honestly think DeGrom is the best pitcher in the National League. I really truly believe it. If Syndergaard can, for whatever reason, if Thor can beat Thor, if he can stop being, the old man Captain America on the bench and actually be the hammer wielding Thor that he's supposed to be, then yes, I have reason to be concerned. But I'm gonna tell you where I'm not concerned. Tony D, no offense, I'm a Brave. You guys over there, nah, y'all.
Tony D, we are Mets fans. He's a Braves fan, but we still love him. We still love him.
Either way. Look. If you're telling me Thor's gonna come back from the IL being Thor, if you're telling me Carrasco, if you're telling me DeGrom, if you're telling me Mats, these guys, if you're telling me the whole bookend of your rotation,
Mats is gone. They got Mats out of there.
Oh, Mats is gone?
Mats is gone.
Okay. Well, humor me. Name me your five. Name me your rotation right now. Besides DeGrom. Who's your rotation?
Carrasco.
You got DeGrom,
Carrasco, Thor.
With Thor on IL right now, but go ahead.
He'll be back. Our guy from Toronto. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Who, Stroman?
Stroman.
Stroman
came back.
Not Marco Stroman. Oh,
Marcus Stroman from Long Island. Long Island.
All 5'7" of them. Okay. Look, I'm telling you right now, if you have Carrasco, and God bless Carrasco, coming back from cancer, doing what he did, that's a reclamation story that anybody, Braves, whatever, anybody can get behind Carlos Carrasco and wish him the best. Nobody's hating there. So if you're telling me DeGrom is DeGrom, you're telling me Thor is Thor, you're telling me Carrasco is Carrasco, and you're telling me Diaz is actually going to save games this year, then we're talking some turkey. You're talking turkey with me. But then you have to go outside of Francisco Lindor. You have to tell me Brandon Nimmo is going to be good. You have to tell me Alonso is going to be good. You have to tell me, who's your second baseman that everybody's high on that I don't like. Either way, moving forward, you have a lot more questions than you do answers. When you have the Nationals that just won a World Series 2 years ago, who have still Strasburg, Scherzer, Schwarber, Juan Soto, and all them guys, and then you got Soroka, Freed, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson, Drew Smiley, Freddie Freeman, and Coon. You're not better than the Braves right now. You have no chance of being better than the Braves. So to tell me Lindor is the savior, I say emphatically no. I say you're fighting with the Phillies for third place, and I say good luck to you.
um, next question is staying in New York. Are the Yankees ever going to reach the World Series again? Because
No,
Yankees are it's World Series a bust.
no. That they keep going for the Voights, the Giancarlos, the Judges, the Austin Hickses, the guys that are going to strike out at a 40% clip. And then they're going with the pitchers that are power pitchers, but at the end of their power ability. Like, who was the guy? It was James Paxton. They gave all the money to out of Seattle. He bombed. CC Safadia, he bombed. The Yankees have not taken the approach of the Mets, the Braves. Every team that has had success has had homegrown pitching and homegrown guys. And then guys that can mix power for average. The Yankees have still sold out on their 1996 model, trying to go and get, the Rocket and all these other guys, hoping they can at the back end of their career get a whole bunch of strikeouts and be fine. The Yankees' model of doing business is not going to work. Now, granted, they play in a division where Toronto's not really any good, even with George Springer, they're not good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they brought in Robbie Ray, who's probably going to be their second best pitcher, and that guy's done. You know what I mean? The whole AL East, except I think the Rays run away with that division, Ted. The Tampa Bay Rays are probably the best team in that division by a lot,
How much
by
more
a whole lot.
patience? How much more patience you think Yankee fans are going to have? Because it's going on to a 12-year drought.
None. I mean, when they got their ass blown out by the sign stealing Astros, they were complaining then. The team is worse now than it was then 2 years ago. I think the time of reckoning is now. The younger Steinbrenner doesn't have the moxie and the wherewithal to build the team of prestige. I really, Ted, Tony D, y'all enjoy what I'm saying right now because I hate y'all. But if you put the Mets in the AL East, the Mets will beat the shit out of the Yankees. I guarantee it. They're not good. They're really they're not deep. They lack balance. They're power heavy on the pitching and the hitting side. They don't have a balance of hitting for average. They don't steal bases. They don't take any account of the metric side of the game at all. They're like a dinosaur, so to speak. I think the Yankees are finished, bro. They're definitely not going to compete this year. I don't think they make the playoffs. Call me crazy.
I still think they're the Yankees. I still think the fact that they're going to find a way into the playoffs, even if they back their way into the playoffs. The
I mean,
problem
they
is
might because the division is weak. Because Boston is weak, Toronto is weak, Orioles.
Baltimore
God,
doesn't
God
exist.
forbid Baltimore. Now I do like that young kid Mountcastle. Y'all pay attention for fantasy baseball players. Look at that kid Mountcastle they got playing first base. I think that guy is a star in the making. However, Baltimore's a joke. Toronto is incomplete. Boston, God damn, they have no. Who's the best pitcher in Boston right now? And Eovaldi? Who do they
Probably.
got? They have nobody.
Probably.
I mean, come on.
All
Stop.
right. We have a next question is a team that you talked about couple of minutes ago. Are the Blue Jays the most interesting team in baseball? They may be short on pitching, but they're doing their best to make it up by being absolutely fascinating. George Springer is one thing, but the fact that they have, if you look at the young stars, it was a dad from the last 25 years of a baseball card that you own. You
Yeah.
still own. Think of all the
Hey,
young stars that are on the Blue Jays.
Vlad Guerrero and Craig Biggio were two of my favorite guys as a kid. The way Craig Biggio played with the slap hitting small ball baseball, and then the
Right.
way Vlad was as an expo, and so to speak. Yeah, those two legacy guys, and I'm pulling hard for Biggio and Vlad Jr. I'm pulling hard for those guys. I love them. And then Bo Bichette, the other young guy playing for the Blue Jays. I like all three of them young guys. Some young studs. They have no pitching. George Springer has been, I mean, everyone consensusly would say George Springer is probably like a top 5 center fielder. But it's easy to be that on a team of great players, right? Say what you want about the Astros. They tanked and they accumulated all this young wealth of talent. And Springer thrived within that system. How is Springer going to do when there's nobody hitting ahead of him or behind him that you really are worried about? Because even as good as Bo Bichette, Biggio Jr., Vlad Jr., even as good as these young guys are, how serious are you taking these young, unproven guys hitting before and after a guy like George Springer? You know what I'm saying? I think George Springer is going to see less hittable pitches and therefore have less production than what he's accustomed to. I believe that.
So right now, the Blue Jays are in Dunedale, Florida. At some point, they might be in Buffalo. Eventually,
yeah, I was actually going to ask that question, Ted. Are they going to let them play? Because I know the Raptors are playing in Tampa.
Right, so the question is, they're going to spend some time in Florida, so we can expect many, many homers in the small ballpark. I think that will favor them for how long. We don't even know if and when they can get back to Canada. I don't foresee it this season.
Let me say this, Ted. I've had my issues with Mansford. You and I have voiced them many a time. We've had our issues with Rob Mansford.
Yep.
If he allows this fucking major league team to play in a minor league stadium because the city of Toronto is continuing their bullshit, you move that fucking team to San Antonio or somewhere else that is deserving of an MLB franchise, and you make a statement immediately. You do not allow this bullshit. Now, I know the city of Tampa bailed out the NBA and put the Raptors in what can be considered a pro-style arena.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You don't have the facilities in these minor league camps to house more than 15,000 people. And if you're going to put a major league franchise into one of these minor league stadiums in the regular season games to appease the city of Toronto and their over excessive bullshit, I think that's a big, huge black eye on the sport, and you're going to piss off a lot of people, Ted. A lot of people.
I'm not doubting you. Next to last question. Who's the next incredible young star? Jarred Kelenic, who was with the Mets before they made that trade for our guy Robinson Cano, and we know how that all worked out.
Kelenic. It's Kelenic. Don't pronounce the extra E. It's just Kelenic.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Kelenic. It's
just Kelenic. All right. Randy Arozarena?
No, Rosarina's already playing, so you can't count him. I'm going to tell you right now.
Okay, go ahead.
The guy you need to watch is Wander Franco. Wander Franco is a friggin' beast. This kid's what? I think he just turned 19, like last week. Like he just turned 19. The shortstop, left field, whatever you want for the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they traded I forget who they traded some major guys to get this guy. And he is the real deal. I like Kelenic for the Mariners. I think Kelenic is going to be up here on the 23rd of April, and he's going to be an everyday player, and he's going to be great. But this Wander Franco kid is up there with the Ronnie Acuñas.
What about Adley Rutschman?
I like him too. I like Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals. I like the kid for the Reds. Abraham or damn, what's his name? Either way, there's a large influx of young talent. Mackenzie Gore with the Padres, Kelnick with the Mariners, Bobby Witt Jr. with the Royals, Wander Franco. These guys are ready to play now. And I really think the league needs to do something about this being able to forego arbitration and whatever by sitting a guy down for a month, they lose
Yeah.
their accreditation. That shit is ruining the game because there are guys that can contribute right now today that gain an extra year of contractability by not playing them for the first month of the season.
Yeah, no, it's the first 2 weeks. It's usually like the first two. It depends on how your schedule is. First 2 weeks in, boom, you got them for another year.
Mm-hmm.
I
think that's trash. But yes, I like all the guys you've mentioned. But the guys that really want to, Jared Kelnick, stud. Wander Franco, stud. Bobby Witt Jr., stud. The guy you really need to look at is Mackenzie Gore. No one's talking about this guy. Left-handed pitcher for the Padres. This young dude is the next. I'd compare him to like a Kershaw. 4 pitches out of the gate, knowing what he's doing. I'm talking about mixing the speed from like 97 down to 70. You know what I'm saying? Like the variation of the pitches. This kid is a monster, man. And Sixto Sanchez for the Marlins. This guy reminds me of Pedro Martinez. Have you watched this guy play? Sixto?
I haven't.
Oh my God. Do yourself a favor when we hang up, Ted. Go pull up the YouTube videos of Sixto Sanchez. This dude is friggin' filthy. And he's probably going to be the number 2 starter for the Marlins this year. And I think he's 21 years old.
Wow.
Incredible stuff this guy has.
Since we're talking about pitching, I want to ask you something here. Where are all the pitching innings going to come from? We go from 60 games to 162 games, and the goal has always been to protect the young pitchers.
It's a fair question. But with what the Rays have done, Rays and other teams, with this, to give your starters some rest, doing this opener shit,
right?
Running the bullpen games with the opener, what have you.
I don't like that.
I don't like it, but I understand. Like if you don't have a true 5-man rotation,
right,
it gives you an ability to carry your 4-man rotation throughout the season. Right? I think there are a lot of teams that lack the depth that are going to go that route. And you're asking where the innings are from. I think that's where the innings are going to come from. There's going to be, like the Braves, for an example, the Braves announced their roster before any other team did. We're only carrying 5 bench guys and carrying 10 guys in the bullpen. So you're telling me I got 5 starters and then I got 10 guys in the bullpen, but you got to get those bullpen guys innings. So they're going to give extra days rest. Like every other series, they're going to run a bullpen game. Get the bullpen guys some work, and B, keep your starters fresh. Like a guy like Charlie Morton, who's 31 years old. They're going to run that guy maybe 140 innings this year and keep him ready for October when the playoffs come. You know what I'm saying? So I don't like that level of thought. I think it minimizes the dominant pitcher, the dominant Cy Young guy, like what Scherzer did when he threw 200 innings.
Right.
Or Kluber, or my guy, my Cy Young pick, Shane Bieber. It minimizes those guys and limits us from what we see from those top-notch guys. But for a playoff team, it prolongs the arm strength of their core guys to where it makes playoff baseball better. And in that regard, I'm okay with it. Because playoff baseball is where it's at anyway.
That is true. That is true. Bucko, I want to thank you for answering to the best of your ability the burning questions as the start of the season nears.
Yeah. Hey, Ted, I'd love to be with you. I think we should do this again tomorrow. Tell Tony D to come on tomorrow. I'll tell him how great the Braves are and how we're going to run a ram shot over your Mets. Let's go. We'll do this again tomorrow because the MLB hot stove is hot right now. I'm telling you right now, this 2021 baseball season is going to be the best we've seen in like 5 or 6 years. It's going to be a great year, and it's going to be won by the Braves. Braves will be the champion.
You got it. So, Bucko, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll set a time. I'll set it early so that we can have our friends come in and join. Shout out to Tony D for being here for the length of this, I don't know, prediction show, whatever you want to call it. But this is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Make sure you do follow Bucko Bruce 83 on Twitter. And you can also follow him on the Haps app, or you can follow him on Late Night Parents because he's always here rocking with me. With that, we say thank you and good night.